So somehow oil got to be $160 a barrel and gas was $4 a gallon. And now it's half of that price, and gas is $3.76 a gallon in New York right now. And everyone's got an opinion on the price of oil and gas and all that stuff, including religious leaders. I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's an interdenominational coalition of religious leaders who've come together to protest the sinfulness of producing gas-guzzling automobiles. And they went to Detroit and had a big news conference and called their campaign, "What Would Jesus Drive?" .org, you can look it up. And I never heard if they even answered their own question. But if they'd asked me, I would have told them that the Son of God would have driven the perfect street rod, top chopped clo, and playing a heavenly glow the man millions call Lord would roll in a 32 Ford. And when his glory and grace was challenged by Lucifer to race, he'd grab a hold of that hearse and jam it in first, and like water into wine, thy will shall be thine. Jesus would smoke him off the line. Or maybe Jesus would ignore our whole man-made holy war and this whole secular charade by crowding all our gods into one big escalade. Alpines pumping prayers and mantras and chants with bass so deep and make an atheist want to dance. Rolling gold-spoke Daytons on 22s, an SUV big enough for Hindus, Christians, Muslims, and Jews. And wouldn't you know, in the very back row, sure as the sutras are written, there would be Buddha, just sitting. Or maybe Jesus would drive a ground-pounding, car-crushing Sunday, come see Yahweh, bring doomsday, Orange County Raceway in his Chevrolet. Monster truck that can leave Thomas awestruck. It'd have tires the size of tabernacle choirs and an exhaust so loud, it'd make the siege of Jericho proud. Everybody would believe in a prophet whose truck had JC highlighters on top of it. But I think if those religious leaders had really raised their questions to the heavens and asked, Jesus, what would you drive? That in no hypocrisy of prophecy you would have seen in a hurry God come down from heaven in a fury. A Plymouth Fury. A full race, altered wheelbase, nostalgia superstock, running the quarter and 10 ticks of the clock, and you would have heard those ministers' jaws drop when they saw the Lord pull that roaring Mopar to a stop and say, listen. I didn't walk on water to become political fodder. I didn't ride to Jerusalem upon an ass so you could preach about gas. Now, I'm proud of my dad's creation, so I'm all for conservation, but I never told a parable that said SUVs were terrible. There's nothing in the scriptures about fuel-air mixtures, and nobody is going to Hades for driving a Mercedes. In fact, the only sinners I see are you ministers using my name for publicity, twisting my words to call for horse-drawn carriages, same as you do against same-sex marriages, but then talking about greenhouse gases trying to hide your altar boy trespasses. You see, I care less about emissions than your own moral omissions. So stop preaching a Ford about civics and instead stop bombing clinics. And remember what I told you in Deuteronomy, that he who is without sin cast the first stone, and you've got a lot better things to do than preach to Detroit about cars.
Nice.